This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, putting America first, second, and third. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Welcome to our show today. It is Tuesday, February 23rd, 2021, getting on toward the end of the month here. And we have a lot to talk about today. Mike is in our control room, twiddling the dials and keeping us out of trouble. And as usual, we're going to do the news until I run out of news. And then we're going to open up the phone lines for your comments, questions, observations, and opinions. Getting back on down to Texas, those poor Texans, they are really, nothing seems to be going their way. The story right now is this Texas utility company, CenterPoint Energy, sent out alerts to their customers that they owed $200,000. Now, they've apologized. They're saying it was an accident, it was a computer error. And they also issued a warning to their customers about possible scammers posing as bill collectors. Yes, certainly a wise precaution to take in this time. Meanwhile, Texas is still facing a clean water shortage. Now, up in Washington, D.C., Joe Biden has sort of pulled back from all of his talk about supporting Texas. He is denying a statewide major disaster declaration after this historic freeze, which killed 21 people in Texas and even more in surrounding states. That there are still thousands of people in Texas without power, and it's been an entire week now. And Biden last week had said to the governors of all the hard-hit states, the federal government stands ready to offer any emergency resources needed. And it turns out that was another lie. Getting into the world of politics, story coming out of the Common Sense show, and they're talking about what happened last November and how back then the Common Sense show was predicting that the Supreme Court would refuse to hear any of the election fraud cases. And of course, that happened just yesterday. They dismissed the cases without hearing one piece of evidence or reviewing any of the affidavits of thousands alleging rampant vote fraud. And you're going to hear the liberals and the pundits out there saying, well, the Supreme Court said there was no vote fraud. That's not what the Supreme Court said. They said, we don't want to see it. You know, we don't want to see it. We don't want to hear it. You can't make me yeah. Now, there were some dissenters on this decision, and one of them was Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, and he issued a dissenting opinion regarding the High Court's decision to dismiss the cases, in particular challenging the Pennsylvania election results, and basically said, you know, we need to make everything clear and transparent. And there is merit to the argument that the last-minute changes to election law in Pennsylvania were, in fact, unconstitutional. But the Supreme Court is standing with the coup plotters, and they're just going to stonewall this thing and hope it's going to go away. No, it isn't. This is going to be in future history books, how this election was stolen. The American people right now are very angry. The rule of law has ended. We have lost control over our own government. We are in a condition of taxation without representation, which was a big part of what the American Revolution was fought for. Now, in the House of Representatives, the Democrats, every single one of them, have signed onto a new Voting Rights Act that would expand early voting, create automatic voting registration systems, and simplify voting by mail as some of the reforms. What they're trying to do is institutionalize the vote fraud they used last November. And if this bill does get passed, we're already hearing that the Republicans may try and filibuster it. But if this bill gets passed, then we have become a one-party nation like the former Soviet Union. The Democrats will never relinquish power no matter what. and the GOP, which refused to stand by Donald Trump and his reports on election fraud, have basically dug their own political graves. They're going to fade into history. Apparently over, pardon me, at a State Department media briefing, there was a bit of a kerfuffle when a reporter basically called out a spokesman for the Biden administration for trying to steal credit for accomplishments done under Trump. The first and foremost being the vaccine. Okay. And it gets worse from there. Biden's pick for Secretary of Health and Human Services, Dr. Levine, is basically was out there, in the forefront of this whole pandemic and lockdown and masks and social distancing. And now she is advocating sex changes for children. And she's a professor of pediatrics and psychiatry at the Penn State College of Medicine. She has given lectures in various settings since 2012 on how to perform sex changes and gender conversion therapy on children. Now, Levine believes that children ought to be given the latitude to choose their own gender. And Levine has advised parents to not try and force them one way or the other, and instead follow the child's lead. I mean, talk about really getting out there into fantasy land, because your gender is decided for you at the moment of conception. And your gender is hard-coded into your DNA through gestation and birth, life, all the way to death. And there is no way to change that. And you need to understand that surgically making women look like men does not make them look like men. They, for example, cannot father children. Surgically altering boys to look like women does not make them women. They cannot bear children. And we have that whole issue of competing in sports. The people who start out as males are going to win those sports. The people who start out as women are going to have a disadvantage. And that is just the hard reality. And unfortunately, reality is something that these days seems to be in extraordinarily short supply in the United States of America. All right, over at MyPillow, CEO Mike Lindell is admitting that he is losing money because of the boycott of his firm over his claims of election fraud. He's had 20 retailers stop carrying his product. I know his online orders are up because a lot of people are staging a boycott to try and show their support for him. And now, of course, he's been hit with a $1.3 billion lawsuit for defamation from Dominion. And he is out there saying that he welcomes the lawsuit because in order to prove defamation, Dominion has to prove that Mike Lindell's evidence is fraudulent. And that means that Mike Lindell has an opening to present the evidence before a judge in a court of law. Of course, I'm going to make a prediction here that the judge is simply going to say, I don't need to see the evidence. I've already decided. And Dominion wins the case because, again, they're institutionalizing the vote fraud in this country. It's an ugly, ugly time. And I feel sorry for the young people growing up in this country right now. Us old people, we're not going to be around that much longer anyway. We're just going to kick back and watch this nation go to the dark regions and comment on it. But the young people, they have to live this horror show that has been created for them. Okay, now Biden's pick for Attorney General is really out there trying to spin things in favor of the liberal Democrats. Merrick Garland came up with this opinion during his Senate hearing. Basically came on out and said that the Antifa and Black Lives Matter attacks on the courthouse may not be domestic terrorism because they happened at night. That's what he actually said. He said the use of violence is to interrupt the democratic process. Therefore, attacks on government buildings at night don't count as domestic terrorism. And every time I think this government can't get any more insane, they prove me wrong. Let's get back to the case of Brian Sicknick. This was the police officer, the Capitol police officer, whom the media trumpeted as a murder victim of the Trump supporters who had bashed in his head with a fire extinguisher. And as it turns out, there is absolutely no evidence of a fire extinguisher being thrown anywhere near Brian Sicknick. And now his own mother is saying that he died of a fatal stroke the day after the protests at the Capitol building. And of course, the government and the corporate media are remaining silent on that one. They got caught in yet another lie. This one's interesting, and I'm actually not really bothered by it. But as we reported last week, the military wants to crack down on extremism in the military ranks. And so the Navy is starting a program to have all sailors reaffirm their oath to the Constitution. And I think, all Navy personnel, uniformed and even civilian, will have to repeat the oath of enlistment or office and basically take it from there. But I think the more the Navy personnel read the Constitution, the more they're going to realize that the government we have right now really is not the one described in that Constitution. And the censorship is really becoming visible. Democrats are asking cable operators to censor Fox News, OAN, and Newsmax. Now, Republicans are condemning this as a troubling attack on the free press. But the Democrats are basically demanding the cable companies to discontinue Fox News, One American News Network, and Newsmax. And basically because they're putting out disinformation and, all that other bad stuff here. Story coming on out of Russia Today, basically talking about this attempt to blur the word conservative with the word extremist. This is one of the tricks of propaganda to try and tarnish the positive image of one word, such as conservative, with the negative connotation of the second word, which in this case is extremist. And Cambridge University scientists claim they found this elusive category of people to be cognitively deficient. Now, this is a slander out of the former Soviet Union. If you don't agree with those in power, you are mentally ill, and you can be sent to a mental health clinic of some kind here. And apparently what is going on here, Donald Trump may be gone, but the powers that think they are very troubled by the fact that his supporters are still hanging around. They're gumming up the works and interfering with the new propaganda campaign that is designed to unite all of Americans into a war-loving, liberal-loving population. So they're out there doing that. And I see it as a measure of the fear that is out there. They were seen stealing this election. It's going to be in future history books, maybe not in this country, but boy, it'll be, some academic in another country striving for tenure. They're going to look at this and say, here we go. I'm going to get published on this one for sure. Down in Australia, the battle of wills between Facebook and Google and the Australian government, and it looks like Australia may come out on top. Now, after Facebook blocked sharing of Australian media content last week in response to the bill that would have made big tech liable for paying producers, lawmakers have caved in and made several amendments to strip out the offending bits, and now Facebook is going to lift the block in coming days. And so Facebook, they're saying the government came out ahead, but it looks to me like Facebook won this one. And in a way, it sets a precedent for all news websites that we should not have to pay for content. Call it the Facebook principle. So let's get into COVID-19. It's still out there. It's still being propagandized. It's still being politicized. And an interesting little article came out from Summit.News talking about how health authorities in England have announced that they have not discovered a single case of influenza this year. And they're now suggesting that we should keep wearing those masks to drive down flu deaths to zero. Well, I have another theory, and that is the flu is out there and doing what the flu normally does, but it's been rebranded as COVID. And remember, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, we had a story about an epidemiologist who was out there saying exactly the same thing. There's no COVID, it's the seasonal flu. It's just being called something else to keep the fear factor up there. Over in Germany, a whistleblower has gone public with footage of forced COVID vaccines in German nursing homes. This was done without their permissions. And remember, this is an experimental vaccine, which under the Nuremberg Code, you cannot administer without the informed consent of the patient. And now attorneys are looking at this and saying, we may be dealing with homicide, maybe even outright murder by these health practitioners who gave these shots without informed consent. Over in France, they're considering slowing down the vaccine rollout for the hospital staff because too many of them are unable to work following the vaccination. And this is the AstraZeneca experimental vaccine currently being given to health workers in France. It's caused so many side effects that the French Vaccination Task Force has recommended a staggering of the schedule for people working in the same care unit in order to avoid severe staff shortages. Over in Italy, dozens of teachers have come down ill following their coronavirus vaccine. Dozens of teachers called in sick Monday after getting the AstraZeneca vaccine. Students in 2 area middle schools were sent home an hour earlier than usual due to insufficient teaching staff. Another little story out here. This one is coming from Global Research. According to new data, as of February 12th, 15,923 adverse reactions to COVID vaccines, including 929 deaths, have been reported to the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention's Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System. And 2/3 of those deaths reported to CDC occurred within 48 hours of receiving the vaccine. That is statistically highly unlikely that it is simply coincidence. Over in North Dakota, sanity is breaking out. The House of Representatives in North Dakota has voted to make mask mandates illegal. The bill was sponsored by Representative Jeff Hoverson, who labeled the mask mandate instituted by the state governor as diabolical silliness, saying that our state is not a prison camp. Well, at least not yet, but the entire country seems to be headed that way. Joe Biden again. We already covered that one. He's pulling back from the statewide declaration in Texas here. Over in New York City, they've announced that movie theaters will be allowed to reopen on March 5th at 25% capacity. COVID-19 cases are declining in New York, and as a result, stock in AMC climbed in response to that news. A little bit of good news there. Senator Richard Blumenthal, a Democrat, is calling on Facebook and Twitter to act on vaccine skeptic conversations, particularly around pregnant women. Now, he wrote this letter to both Facebook and Twitter, saying that they have moved far too slow in responding to the targeted harassment and promotion of destructive conspiracy theories against women and people of color. So again, we have here a link. The censorship being practiced by Twitter and Facebook and other social media companies is being initiated by the government, and that makes it a violation of the First Amendment. We'll be right back after these few words.
Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we have been building our online store. Well, we have been focusing on bringing you the best talk show host in the country. Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we also want our listeners to have products they can use every day and in times of emergency. We have added new products each week to our store. Your support of this network, plus products at the best prices, is a win-win situation. Check out our new store. Go to our website, republicbroadcasting.org, and click on the online store located at the top of our website. Together, we can continue to grow RBN and help our listeners prepare for the future. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and click on our online store or call us.
800-724-2719 extension 3. 800-724-2719 extension 3.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Well, they're stealing down on Wall Street and in Washington, too. You know, it makes me wonder, what's a guy on Main Street to do? I've always tried to be an honest, upstanding kind of guy. But I must admit lately, I thought about giving something else a try. Oh, I want to be a pirate. I want to sail the seven seas, yeah, I want to be a pirate.
Welcome back to our show here. And again, a friendly reminder that Republic Broadcasting Network needs your support. They are still trying to sort out what is going to be done about those incredibly high electric bills in Texas following that historic freeze. And it may well be that Republic Broadcasting Network is going to be hit with a major electric bill this month. And so it's more urgent than ever that you chip in. And once again, the postal address to send a check, money order, or if you prefer anonymity, cash, is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can make a credit or debit card donation is 800-724-2719, extension 3. And if you mail in a donation of $100 or more, include your t-shirt size and a return address, and you'll get one of our spiffy RBN official t-shirts and bragging rights for your trouble. And don't forget, the Front Sight Firearms deal is back as well, so you want to pay attention for that one. All righty, getting on back to COVID-19, former Israeli Justice Minister Ayelet Shaked called on Saturday for Israel to prevent Palestinians in the Gaza Strip from receiving the Russian coronavirus vaccine. And I guess Saturday Night Live wasn't that far off after all, but they certainly got a lot of negative press because of that. Over in Iraq, a rocket attack targeted the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad a week after the deadly Erbil assault. And this is a fresh rocket attack on the Green Zone, happened yesterday. At least 3 rockets targeted the embassy area. So things are still heating up over there. This is an interesting story, and this is from Middle East Monitor. There is a classified report prepared by United Nations investigators, and it's either been declassified or leaked, but it revealed that the founder of the private security company Blackwater, Eric Prince, violated the arms embargo in Libya and tried to overthrow the internationally recognized government twice in 2019. And the report was submitted by the UN investigators to the UN Security Council. The report stated that Prince offered to send mercenaries to renegade General Khalifa Haftar during a meeting at the Egyptian capital, Cairo, 10 days after launching the military operation to control Tripoli. And apparently they had assassination squads out there as well, looking for top officials. Meanwhile, over in Russia, Moscow is disappointed by the decision of the Council of the European Union to prepare new illegitimate unilateral sanctions against Russian citizens, according to a statement by Russian Foreign Ministry made public yesterday. The decision to prepare these new illegitimate unilateral restrictions against Russian citizens over a contrived excuse causes disappointment. The contrived excuse being Navalny, as well as they're still trying to flog the Novichok poisoning case as well. Story coming out of Middle East Monitor again. There is a Zionist group that is leading a campaign to have a British professor, David Miller, basically fired for daring to criticize Israel at a virtual meeting last week. Now, David Miller has spent 15 years tracking the nefarious effects of the fossil fuel lobby, the pharmaceutical lobby, the tobacco lobby, as well as state lobbies that promote Islamophobia. And during the Zoom meeting, the sociology professor, considered one of the world's leading experts in Islamophobia, denounced the state ideology of Israel as racist. And now they want him fired from his post at the University of Bristol. So cancel culture is definitely rearing its ugly head. Now, this is an interesting little story. It came out of Sputnik News. And the story is going that the administration of former President Trump depicted a hardline approach towards Iran, elevating tensions with Iran to unprecedented level. But apparently, former Obama officials held face-to-face meetings with the Iranian foreign minister, Mohammad Javad Zarif, in the middle of these worsening U.S.-Iranian relations under the Trump administration to undermine Trump's team, his efforts. This was reported in no less than the Washington Post on Sunday. This is a violation of the Logan Act. Former presidents, whether it's Trump or Obama, are not allowed to engage in foreign policy. Remember the October surprise that involved George Bush and Jimmy Carter? That was also a violation of the Logan Act. I don't think anybody's actually been prosecuted under that. It's out there that you're not supposed to do it, but nobody gets prosecuted on it. Okay, we got to take another break for commercials. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Have you been looking for a trusted long-term storable food company? We have a solution for you. Simply Clean Foods is dedicated to providing the best quality food you can buy next to fresh from a farmer's market. Our line of resealable fruits, vegetables, and meats are suitable for everyday use, and you won't have to worry about throwing away valuable groceries ever again. Our food is completely GMO-free, and our stringent quality controls, plus testing for heavy metals, makes us unique in the storable foods market. Simply Clean Foods' primary focus is to bring clean food to people all around the world and change the way we look at freeze-dried food in our daily cooking. When you purchase from simplycleanfoods.net, not only will you be receiving high-quality food, but you will also be supporting veterans in need across the country and those who are affected by natural disasters. Right now, Amazon Prime members will receive fast 2-day shipping. Go to simplycleanfoods.net. That's simplycleanfoods.net. But do it today.
Hello, I'm Dr. Leonard Horowitz. I was right 30 years ago in warning the world about threatening lab virus outbreaks, AIDS, and Ebola. I was right 20 years ago when FBI Director Robert Mueller made me a suspect in the anthrax mailings because I warned the Bureau before the CIA's biocrime and Cipro sales psyops happened. I was right about COVID-19 being an AIDS-laced mutagen planned to resurge this fall to excuse officials' profitable depopulation globalization agendas. And I was right about the only safeguards being antioxidants and holy spiritual sustenance. Vitamin C, D, zinc, chlorophyll, oxygen, and oxysilver especially transmits the frequency resonance to neutralize the expanded function bioweapon. Oxysilver is a double superconductor of the healing power of love. It is the first nutraceutical invented to amplify prayer power and the faithful, loving intention of your heart. Buy, try, and stockpile Oxysilver through HealthyWorldStore.com.
Extendivite's 7-herb formulation is approved to help maintain cardiovascular health and help lower blood lipid levels in adults. Extendivite is made from hawthorn, garlic, valerian, cayenne, bilberry, ginkgo biloba, and milk thistle. The herbs in Extendivite have been chosen for their ability to help with overall health. Many people have reported improved energy and stamina in just a few months. If you think you could feel just a little bit better, then Extendivite may just be for you. Extendivite is an all-natural supplement. Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com. That's HEARTDROP.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite. Wall Street wizards on the land from a mental institution. Claim private retirement funds. Yeah, they are the best solution. But when the markets crash, we'll be asking where's the cash? Guess them folks in D.C. must be smoking Texas hash. Will Congress pay the piper when all the money's gone?
Welcome back to our show here, and we're talking about the international news here. This is a troubling development. Ayatollah Khamenei is saying that Iran might proceed with 60% uranium enrichment, and this is definitely escalating the tension between Iran and the United States. It is certainly out of line with what was agreed to in the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action nuclear deal. And it is certainly not an enrichment level that is useful for anything except as a stepping stone to the 90+ percent uranium enrichment needed for a nuclear weapon. And basically, it's going to blow right past the current 20%. And move the country closer to being able to produce a nuclear weapon. And I would be willing to wager a nickel that Iran actually has the bomb casing for a uranium bomb. The hard part is getting the fissionable uranium. And once you've got that, a uranium bomb is very, very simple. It's basically a pipe. And you have two subcritical masses of uranium at each end. You slap them together, the thing goes boom. That was the technology behind the little boy atom bomb dropped on Japan. The plutonium bomb is much easier to control, but it also requires a lot more technology there. Also requires plutonium. Meanwhile, speaking of plutonium, Israel is expanding their nuclear facility out at Dimona facility in the Negev desert. And this is where they have made the fissile material for its nuclear arsenal. Israel tried to hide what they were doing there, but it has come out over the last several years. There is, in fact, a bomb factory hidden underneath the reactor there. In fact, there was even a documentary on Israeli TV showing what was going on there. And they are able to produce plutonium from that reactor. Okay. Russia is now saying that jihadists are planning a simulated chemical attack in Idlib to get Biden's attention. I think what we're seeing here, the military industrial complex, they want the wars to crank up. They want the money to flow out of your pocket and into their pocket. And just as we saw with Donald Trump, when he first took office, there were some false flag chemical attacks, which prompted cruise missile strikes. And of course, those cruise missiles sell for quite a bit of money each. And it does almost feel like a repeat of 2017 is what's going on here. So it all depends on who these so-called jihadists are actually working for. Meanwhile, according to a report from Politico, the Biden administration is preparing to hit Russia with major penalties over the jailing and alleged poisoning of opposition figure Alexei Navalny. And Politico said the U.S. is planning to coordinate a sanctions rollout with its European allies. And the details are not yet available. But the report said the Trump administration left behind a sanctions package that laid out possible options for punishments for Russia, which Biden is now reviewing. You know, we talk about these alleged poisoning, and they're always talking about Novichok, which is a very, very deadly poison. And you wonder how it is that Navalny survived it, as well as the gentleman there in England, whose name eludes me at the moment. So, again, something fishy about that story. The Biden administration is rejecting China's calls for better relations. China basically made an overture to the White House saying, let's calm the tensions down over Taiwan. Let's calm the tensions down over the South China Sea. Let's calm the tensions down over Hong Kong. This all came with a phone call from Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi, who basically said, you know, we want these things to calm down. The Biden administration is saying, no, we're out there, and sooner or later we're going to get the war that we want. We just have to convince the American people there is no other choice. We have been talking about the military and some of the boondoggles that are out there. Again, we're hearing bad things about the F-35. And the U.S. Army is now developing the most powerful laser weapon in history. It is estimated that it will be 1 million times more powerful than current systems. It will vaporize targets using very short pulses and also produce powerful signals to disrupt enemy electronics, or at least that's what the sales pitch says. We'll see how well they're able to actually implement that. Interestingly enough, over in Los Angeles, somebody got a photograph of a couple of F-117 Nighthawk stealth jets flying over Los Angeles. And the reason it's a surprise is supposedly these stealth attack aircraft have been retired and are no longer in service. Well, somebody's using them for something up there. Maybe somebody is looking at how outmatched we are in a lot of areas, and they're going to start putting some of the older technology back into frontline service. Let's talk about the economic news. Little bit of good news for people up in Kansas. There's a bill introduced in the Kansas House to recognize gold and silver specie, meaning coins, as legal tender and repeal all taxes levied on gold and silver. This would pave the way for people in Kansas to use gold and silver coins in everyday transactions. This is a major step for people to escape the Federal Reserve's monopoly on money, which is that colored ink and paper thing that we're supposed to think has some value to it. And the Federal Reserve, of course, is the machine that drives the most powerful government in the history of the world. I would also add the most corrupt. Ron Paul popularized the slogan, "End the Fed," but Congress is nowhere near abolishing the central bank. It can't even come up with the will to perform an audit on the Fed to see how much wealth they have extracted from the people of the United States of America over the last 100+ years. Now, Congress does have the authority to rescind the charter of the Federal Reserve at any time they want to. But the Federal Reserve, you know, they're very, very generous contributors to congressional campaigns, and so that is not likely to happen. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says she's open to increasing corporate taxation and hiking capital gains tax, and she's had talks about one-off wealth levy, but Joe Biden apparently is opposing it. And it's a complex issue because if you hike corporate taxes, corporations start heading elsewhere. We're already seeing corporations shift their locations within the United States to escape high taxation. And if the federal corporate tax rates go up, they might just, you know, head overseas. You know, it's a question of, you know, who's being taxed unfairly. And to that, I would say we're all being taxed too much. You know, to feed this Federal Reserve, to feed Israel, to feed this war machine. We are very, very heavily taxed, and we're not getting much of value back from it. We have a crumbling infrastructure. We have a government that can't take care of people down in Texas following this recent disaster. All we get is this continuing snow job of liberal ideology to keep us distracted from the fact that the government really is failing to function in anything like a responsible manner for the people of the United States of America. I think taxes are way too high for everybody, for ordinary Americans, for businesses, for corporations. And we need to, you know, we need to figure out a way. How do we cut the spending? And there's a lot of wasteful government spending. We've been hearing stories about how much of the money set aside for COVID has been lost to fraud. We heard stories about how much money that was sent to Iraq for reconstruction was lost to fraud. And it's almost like the government is so sure they're going to get more money from you, they don't really take care of what they already have. They're very, very sloppy. Remember the day before 9/11 when the Secretary of Defense, Rumsfeld, got up in front of a newsroom and admitted the Pentagon had lost $3 trillion. They had no idea where it went. You know, but I guess if I had that much money coming into my pocket from the taxpayers, I'd be irresponsible as well. Meanwhile, Bitcoin, which was soaring like crazy last week, it has dropped by more than 15%. It's down to 47,944. It's still a good place to store your wealth, but concerns are being raised over apparent efforts in China to basically dominate the process of Bitcoin mining. Okay, now we talked about this yesterday. This is another story about the engine failure on a Boeing 747 over the Netherlands. This article confirms that the engine that exploded was a Pratt & Whitney PW4000 engine, the same engine that fell apart over Denver. And so that is a confirmation. The problem is not with Boeing. It's with the Pratt & Whitney PW4000 engine. So before you start running over to sell your Boeing stock, remember that Boeing sells the airframe and the purchaser chooses which engine goes into it. So Pratt & Whitney needs to figure out what the heck happened. Apparently, turbine blades were just breaking off. But again, you know, Boeing is not at fault on this one. And so we need to basically stand by this American company here. Getting into immigration, Joe Biden has canceled Donald Trump's tougher citizenship test, saying it created barriers to naturalization by doubling the number of questions. Biden scrapped it over fears it may inadvertently create potential barriers to naturalization. Well, excuse me, but if you are intending to become a legal citizen of this country, there should be a test. If you know the Constitution, if you understand the basic laws and the structure of our government, so that you don't come in as a citizen and not know how things operate here. So I think Trump had the right idea, but we know that Biden and the liberals are just throwing open the immigration gates to just flood this country with all kinds of people. They're not being tested for illnesses, including COVID. Criminals are coming on in. MS-13 is coming on in. And I think a mature immigration policy would be, first of all, checking these people for communicable diseases. And second, checking their resume. You know, are they able to do something that will benefit our economy and our nation? And if not, they should not be allowed in. The Justice Department has asked the United States Supreme Court yesterday to cancel argument in a case testing the government's ability to approve state programs that impose a work requirement on recipients of Medicaid. Now, Trump's administration approved plans by two states, Arkansas and New Hampshire, to deny coverage to poor people unless they were working, volunteering, or training for a job. Medicaid recipients in those states sued, arguing the plans would let states kick people off Medicaid for failing to get jobs that became scarce during the pandemic. Well, there are those other issues. You could be volunteering someplace, or you could be in training for a job. And right now, apparently, being a coder, there are still jobs out there for people who know like Python. Biden's Attorney General nominee, Merrick Garland, is refusing to call illegally crossing our border a crime. And this was during his nomination hearing yesterday. And Senator Josh Hawley asked him, do you believe that illegal entry at America's borders should remain a crime? And Merrick basically hemmed and hawed and basically said, you know, the president has made clear we are a country of concern about national security. And he basically didn't say much of anything. But he did, it was a non-denial denial. He basically said he refused to say it is a crime to step across the border, which shows us he's unaware of existing law. You know, go to Title VIII. Yes, stepping across that border without official permission from the U.S. government is illegal. It is a crime. Over in France, they're cracking down on a movement called Generation Identitaire. This is a movement by young people who want Europe to remain for Europeans. Some 3,000 Parisians gathered last Saturday to reclaim their freedom of speech and to support the movement of Generation Identity. And this group is currently targeted by the French government for disillusion. They're really pushing that globalism. People getting very, very unhappy. And I know part of it is xenophobia, which is part of our psychological makeup, and it has been a source of much grief throughout history. But it is a reality of our makeup, and anybody who doesn't understand that that's there is definitely heading down the primrose path, as it were. All righty. Over at the University of Connecticut, their student body president is being accused of white supremacy for opposing an effort to defund the police. All right. So Mike Hernandez, who's the president of the student government, is being accused of supporting white supremacy because he vetoed a Senate resolution that called on the university to defund the university police department. That is just absolutely insane. And in another telling move of the anti-white global movement here, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres warned yesterday that white supremacy is a transnational threat. And basically out there saying that, yeah, we have to get rid of white supremacy. Well, how do you tell whether you're getting rid of white supremacy or just white people? You know, what do you do if you have everybody saying that all whites are white supremacists? We're heading into Zimbabwe territory here. All righty, we got to take another break for commercials, and we'll be right back.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We have a special promotion going on at Republic Broadcasting. This is a fundraiser for Republic Broadcasting involving the Energy Cleaner. Mail me a postcard. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. We pick a postcard every other Thursday. When your postcard is drawn out, you get to buy an Energy Cleaner for $215 instead of $285, $70 discount. $200 goes to Republic Broadcasting. You also get a 10% discount on my mattress pads. So get those postcards in, put your name, your telephone number, your email address on there, and when your postcard is drawn, you get to get an Energy Cleaner for $215 instead of $285. Mattress pads, 10% off. Help us out at Republic Broadcasting and help yourself to get an Energy Cleaner at a deep discount. It's a win-win situation for everybody. We hope you can get these postcards in soon. Thank you very much.
Hey there, are you going to wait till the cows come home to get your new ease-off drop-and lift?
What in the world is an ease-off drop-and lift?
Our ease-off is a new tool to increase production for your meat processing company that will get that whole hog or half a beef on or off your rail with our remote control.
That sounds great, but can I afford it?
Sure, and the ease-off installs fast. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue, speed up your line, and increase profits.
Okay, I'm convinced. Where can I get my ease-off?
Go to easeoff.com. That's EAZEOFF.com. And hurry, because we're offering free shipping for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows, too.
Ease-Off, LLC, 417-932-6419.
Forced to carry his own cross while we drive nails in his coffin. You might say it is routine. It happens far too often. A decorated soldier, veteran of the war. Who would have thought that he would be among the sick and poor? Preacher man wags his head while the rich
Welcome back to
man
our
turns
show
away.
here. And Joe Biden's nominee for Attorney General, Merrick Garland, during his confirmation hearing yesterday, basically admitted the Department of Justice will most likely enforce President Biden's anti-gun agenda. So we knew that was coming. Meanwhile, New Jersey has become the 13th state to legalize the adult use of marijuana, to decriminalize cannabis possession in small amounts, and create a regulated cannabis marketplace, meaning they're going to tax the heck out of it. And I was rather pleasantly surprised to find out there's a movement right here in Indiana to legalize recreational marijuana. And I can hardly wait. What can I tell you? Let's talk a little bit about computers and computer science, because it's getting to be a big problem out there. And there's an article over in ZDNet that is saying the same thing I've been saying for a long, long time. Private companies can't protect us from digital attacks. It is time for the government to step in. And we know about Silver Swallow, the SolarWinds attack. I mean, there's just tons of malware out there, and nobody seems able to do anything about it. Now, the private companies, of course, are making a lot of money selling anti-malware software, but it doesn't really seem to work. The other side in this battle, the cyber criminals, just keep coming up with something newer and newer. And a lot of it has to do with weaknesses within the structure of the computers and software themselves, that they're simply not paying attention to what's going on. And something has to be done. It is costing our economy billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars, at a time when our economy cannot survive that. All right, a lot of good news happening in space. Last week we had the Perseverance lander touchdown. Over the weekend they released the live video of it. Very exciting to watch here. And there is an interesting story. This is from the Daily Beast. And it's talking about the role that corporate media can play in the space program for good, or in this case, for bad. And back in 1997, they were getting ready to launch the Cassini mission to Saturn. And the issue was over 3 radioisotope thermoelectric generators. Same thing we used on Viking, same thing's being used on Curiosity and Perseverance. And they were powered by the decay of plutonium-238. Now, that's not the Back to the Future variety. It's not fissionable. The plutonium was stored in a ceramic form, wrapped in iridium and caked in graphite. It could not corrode, be obliterated by heat, could not vaporize or disintegrate as an aerosol, or dissolve in water. It was designed to withstand not only the explosion of the rocket, but the reentry into Earth. But apparently 60 Minutes came on out with this hysteria and almost succeeded in getting the mission canceled. Okay, we're going to take a break for station identification. We're going to open up the phone lines, 512-248-8252, and we'll be back with hour 2.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And welcome back to our show, hour number 2. The phone lines are open, area code 512-248-8252. A lot of people paying attention to the Perseverance rover, the exciting pictures coming on through, and probably imagining that it is this amazing collection of technology, which it is, but it probably surprises a lot of people to find out that its computational power is less than your smartphone. The Perseverance rover is powered by an old chipset that gives it about the same processing power as an iMac from 1998. It has 256 megabytes of RAM and 2 gigabytes of storage with a 200 megahertz processor. And the reason they do that, and we had to go through this with Viking as well, NASA tends to use very time-tested computing components for maximum reliability. They don't want to send something out there with the original Pentium and only discover in orbit that it has a floating point error, which was a problem with the original Pentium here. So it's a conservative approach. What makes it really do the amazing things that it does is the skill of the programmers and being able to program so much into such a small space of memory. Over in Europe, Mount Etna has erupted. It's continuing to erupt. They're saying it's the worst eruption seen in decades. And the displays are really quite spectacular. All right, we're going to take a phone call now. Tom in Florida. Hello, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Mike. Good day to you. Good day to you guys. Yeah, Mike, and thank you to that caller yesterday from Texas, Bruce. Yeah, if you gave me the golden Mike from Rush, I'd put him as my Snardly. He could be my Snardly.
Yeah.
Or you could. Either one of you guys. You could be Snurdlies. Okay, now.
I make a very bad Snurdly.
Yeah, no, well, okay. Well, you just be Mike, you know. You can be Mike. But, you know, Mike, you know, Golden Mike.
Yep.
Golden Mike. That's you, Mike. Golden Mike.
Okay.
Yeah, so anyway, yeah, Mike, well, before I go to Garland, I want to talk, you know, first off, I heard this Tiger Woods has got a really bad car wreck. I think he broke 2 legs or something. Don't look
well,
good.
yeah, he's in the hospital in surgery. He rolled his car, and you know, this definitely could have an adverse effect on his career.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. But anyway, first off, though, Mike, getting on to, I won't go into immigration right away, but as far as the lady from the other day and Kevin from West Virginia, I wish those two would call in the show once in a while to explain how they are electing this imbecile Manchin in that state. Donald Trump got 85% of the vote in West Virginia, but they elect a demon rat like this Manchin idiot who does want to flood our country with immigration. I hope Karen and Kevin from West Virginia call in, and we can get to a platform where we can actually, you know, turn that state to the degree of we don't hire imbecile Democrats. I mean, look at the economy. It's ready to collapse.
Yes.
The gas price is going to go probably $5 a gallon. Just the buyer's remorse is going to be horrific.
Yes.
I believe in the next 6 months, with all these idiots that wanted bumbling buffoon, the buffoon. And by the way, Donald Trump that night that he called him a clown, Trump should have shot back and say, "Listen here, you jackass. That's what
Yes.
you represent, a jackass party." If Trump would have done that, he would have won the election hands down. Even the demon wrestler would say, "Wow, this guy shot back with a quick one." You know what I mean? That's what I would have said. Hey, listen here.
Tom, he wouldn't have won the election. The election was rigged. Okay, we could have had Jesus
You're right.
running for office, and he still would have lost to Biden.
No, I totally agree with that. Well, yeah, yes, you're right. I mean, I guess I got me there. But yeah, I still say that if I was Trump, I would have shot back and let the people know this guy is a jackass. That's what he represents. That's what I'm trying to get to. But anyway, Mike, now getting back to this Merrick Garland imbecile, this guy is not qualified to be a dog catcher. Okay, he would find excuses for a rabid dog is okay. The rabid dog, you can keep the dog in your house if you got rabies. That's how this guy is. Now he wants to flood the country with illegal immigration because I told it again and again and again. It's all about the vote. They want votes. They want to turn all these southern states blue. Texas, Florida, all that, Alabama, all of them.
Oh, they want the whole country to be blue.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You can see the writing's on the wall. The handwriting's on the wall.
Is.
But, Mike, yeah. And, if we don't stop it, and, if we don't stop it, I tell you, Mike, it's going to be horrific. Look what happened when Slick Willie was president and we had Bosnia and Herzegovina. Okay, remember the bloodbath that was happening with the Serbians, the Croats? It's going to be 100 times worse there because they didn't have guns like we have in this country. Okay, that was patty cake Baker man over there. This is going to be all out insanity. This will be apocalypto, man. I mean, this is insanity what's happening, and we got idiots, these liberal, licky, kissy, touchy, feely demon rats that are trying to wipe out all Christianity and white cultural identity. There's no question about it in my mind. It's right in front of everybody to see. It's plain as the nose on your face, man. Now, what's going to happen, Mike? I do believe the economy is going to collapse, like you've been saying. It's going to something bad is going to happen.
Well on its way.
The economy. It's going to collapse. We saw basically a little hint of it was happening in Texas with the cold weather.
Yes.
But that ain't nothing compared to what's going to happen with the food. I think the next crisis and the ultimate crisis will put this country over edge will be food. It's called comida. The food, and once the food distribution gets railroaded and the truckers start bringing in food and all that in all these cities, it's pandemonium. It's chaos. And then, Mike, seriously, how would you want to bring all these different cultural identities that don't care about the founding principles of this country? How do Americans want this? They don't. Everybody I talk to, they say, man, this is insanity. I don't care if they're Afro-American. I don't care if they're white, Hispanic. I know Hispanics here in South Florida say, you gringos are crazy if you're going to be bringing all these illegals in here. And this one guy told me, Mike, it was really interesting. I have a friend, and he perfect Spanish, and he told me, do you know how bad La Raza is? You know what La Raza stands for the race, Mike.
Yes.
And they're basically printing in Spanish. My friend told me, my wife, they told him, they are so hateful of northern white culture, it's disgusting.
Okay.
Matter of fact, if the Ku Klux Klan or the neo-Nazis or anybody were to print media like they do, it would be insanity. They would all be arrested. All the whites would be arrested if they had outlets like that. La Raza's not here to compliment us. Believe that,
no,
Mike.
It isn't.
I've been told by my
definitely an
Hispanic
identity
friends.
organization. And they've got that wing out in California that wants California to be returned to Mexico, and was it the Aztlan, something like that? Okay.
Exactly, Mike. Aslan. Mike, to that caller yesterday, you kind of straightened him out. To the one caller, I mean, I understand his point. We give the slaves, the blacks, because they're slaves, $200,000. Mike, they'll never be satisfied. They'll want $10 million each. Okay.
Yes.
What about all the Irish who came here as slaves? Are they going to get reparations? What about all these other white people? What about all the white people came here as slaves? Indenturement. Okay.
What about all the
people
Chinese
got kicked out
who were
of
basically enslaved to build the railroads?
There you go. Exactly. What about all the? What about what England? The Irish with the potato famine.
Yes.
Okay? Is England going to start paying for all those Irish they murdered and sent over to the United States? Because, look what happened in Italy. Look what happened in all these other European countries that actually had to be out of their country because there's no work and all kinds of disease. It was nuts what happened at the turn of the century, man. Okay?
Yes.
And all the people, your family members, when they came here, Mike, nobody gave them nothing. Nobody had food stamps, welfare, and all that. They were lucky they got powdered milk. Okay? Who's kidding who here? Now these people come in with Section 8 housing, they want hot water heaters. Mike, 99.9% of those people coming from Central America never had a hot water heater. 99% of those people never had a car, Mike. 99% of them never even had a Kentucky Fried Chicken meal. Okay?
I'm not sure that last one was all that good.
Well, okay, you're probably right. But, Popeye's chicken, Popeyes, whatever. But, yeah, Mike, seriously, these people that are coming here never had none of these. 90% of them didn't have a color TV in their house. Okay? They had nothing. They all want to come here to do one thing and one thing only, to vote Democrat and take jobs away from Americans, black or white. Take the jobs away and say, screw you, gringo, we're here to take over. Hey, oye, okay?
All right.
That's what it's all about, Mike. And they're not here. They're not here to compliment the founding fathers or our constitutional liberties.
Tom,
yes, sir.
Tom, you've made all of these points before, and I do get a lot of email from people saying we've really heard these points before. So unless you have something new to talk about, I really do want to let you go and get on to the next call.
Mike, I do have something. I have something new I want to talk about. I want to talk about how we have. Okay, I want to talk about Mars. We have the ability to land a rover on Mars and to land it without getting damaged. Okay, the elevator chute and all that was spectacular when you see the video of that. Now, if we have this kind of technology, we're going to be putting a man on Mars within the next probably 10 years or less. We don't have the technology to seal our borders. We don't have technology to screen people that are just wanting to be here and love of this country and this identity.
The solution is simple. We should have scientists running the government instead of politicians.
Well, I can't argue that point.
No.
Well, I don't know about Fauci, that imbecile. Fauci.
Well, he's
Mike,
not really a good scientist, in my opinion.
Well, one more thing, Mike, and I'll let you go. There's one guy in Jersey. He hasn't called in a while, but I hope he kind of does because, I want to hear his perspective now, what he thinks, what kind of job Biden is doing. I want to hear a little bit about his view about coronavirus. What's the next step here with this corona nonsense? Because, Mike, I'll be honestly, I think we're going to be wearing masks in the next 2 years, minimum.
Well,
that's going to make sure of that.
Now we're going to be wearing masks until 2022, unless you live in North Dakota.
That's correct, and that's there. Well, Florida's pretty. DeSantis is doing a great job as far as not closing nothing down, and he's pretty good on that. But, Mike, I tell you, the rest of the country. It's not looking good, Mike. It's looking horrific.
No, it is not looking good. And I have been predicting for quite a few years that the ultimate fate of the United States is a Soviet Union-style collapse. But obviously, as we get closer and closer to that, things become more chaotic. The government starts acting more and more crazy. They're just out there grasping for anything that will get the people to give them their consent. And that's the big problem right now. How do you manufacture consent when the population knows that pretty much everything coming out of the government these days is a lie?
Absolutely. Look, we're becoming more like Russia, and Russia's becoming more like us. Russia's coming more like us in the 60s, and we're becoming more like them in the 60s. So
yeah,
the whole world upside down. Right. It's a madhouse. Like Charlton Heston said in that movie, the great movie he made, it's a madhouse.
Oh, that was Planet of the Apes, the original. All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, thank you for the phone call. We're going to let you go. The phone lines are open. Area code 512-248-8252. And we're going to switch to Nathan in Northern California. Hello, Nathan. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Oh, hi, Mike. I kind of took a little break from your show for about, 3 months or so.
Okay.
And I tuned in. I tuned in yesterday, and I heard Layla mention my name, and
well,
she was all mad.
You're a memorable caller. What can I tell you?
Yeah. Well, I did call in, and she did not explain why I said what I said. And I said at the time that I was tired of these people calling in and bashing Trump.
Okay.
And I said, well, the nicest thing Layla and so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so can do is to check into a hospital and quietly die.
Well,
And
that
I
was a little bit
I was
over. That was
speaking.
a little bit over the line here, and Layla took offense, and
Yeah.
we really don't like that kind of language here. I really would like to have the callers not attacking each other, but instead stick to the topics. What's currently going on,
Yeah.
and
Well,
leave the name calling for beer night at home.
Well, it could have been worse. I mean, I could have said I'd love to have been a little fly on the wall and watch her bounce off the ceiling a dozen times before she takes her last breath and goes away. But I didn't say that.
Nathan,
I
now we're
kept it
getting
light and bouncy.
No. Yeah. Okay. Well, if you wanted to see her bouncing around, you should have listened to Friday's show, because Layla was.
I did. I caught
okay.
that.
Okay.
She's got a relative in Germany that was a farmer 7,000 years ago, and then she says her DNA is traced back to this Russian guy 47,000 years ago.
Well, I have a hard
oh my
time believing
God.
that the DNA companies can actually do that. As for me, I'm descended from a long line my mother listened to.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing with me. I'm a mixed bag, and that's myself. And
Absolutely.
What can I say? But the only thing I wanted to say is that I was speaking metaphorically, and I was trying to express my displeasure at people that called up and bash our
Please
president.
find a gentler way. Please find a gentler way to express your displeasure, because we start calling each other names, and all of a sudden we become the Jerry Springer radio show, and I really don't want to take the show in that direction.
I know, Mike. Well, years ago I used to listen to Rush Limbaugh back in the 90s.
Yes.
And every day he's on the show, it's Clinton is no freaking good. Clinton is no freaking good. Clinton is no freaking good. Huh?
And
yeah,
he was
right. But how many times can you say it? Do you remember those days back in the 90s when he was
I remember those days, and I remember my frustration that Rush Limbaugh refused to deal with the strange circumstances surrounding the death of White House Deputy Counsel Vincent Foster, who was declared a suicide without any evidence to support that. And it was just a botched up job. And
exactly.
I emailed Rush my entire file on Foster, but he wouldn't go there. And somebody somewhere had said, no, you're not going to do that.
Yeah, no. Yeah, the Vince Foster case was really quite unique. Well, what I did back in those days, after hearing him bash Clinton for about 20 times or 30 times, I can't remember, I just clicked him off. And I haven't listened to Rush Limbaugh since, 1999. I had other things I was doing, and goodbye, Rush. And so I never heard what he had to say during the Bush years. I never heard what he had to say during the Obama years. I'm sure he was praising Donald Trump left and right, but I could care less. I could care less. And so he won the Medal of Freedom. Yippee skippy, But I mean, once somebody aggravates the daylights out of me, it just click, off you go. And I think what you have to remember is that you've got a good show, but you're very vulnerable. You have an enormous amount of competition out there. Plus, you got reruns of SpongeBob and Yosemite Sam and the Roadrunner and the Three Stooges. I mean, click. And
Don't
a couple
forget
of
Marvin the Martian. Don't forget Marvin the Martian.
Marvin the Martian. Oh my God! That was a great show. And I Dream of Jeannie. And there's all kinds of competition out there, and you're very vulnerable to the click, off you go. I'm going to go listen to something else. But I'm sorry that Layla felt so offended for me saying that, and I did let into David, which was pretty bad. But, he sounds like a manic depressant to me, and I live with
a little apology right now would go a long way to smoothing over relations with these other callers.
Okay, yeah. Well, all right. I'm sorry, Layla.
Got to work on your sincerity. Got to work on your sincerity there. All right, Nathan.
I know.
Thanks an awful lot. We're going to let you go here. The phone lines are completely open. Area code 512-248-8252. And getting on back to some interesting news here. One of the things that is being promoted by the green agenda and the global warming people and everything. Oh, I got to take a break here for commercials anyway. All right. We'll come back to this story after a few minutes.
Hey, honey, I'm home. I grabbed a newspaper on the way home. Look at all the news today.
Don't you know that all you're going to get in the newspaper is propaganda, twisted news, and false information?
Honey, this is a national newspaper. It has to be true.
Ha! For some reason, the majority of the population believe anything the mainstream media tells them. The newspaper doesn't give out the important attention of what's happening to this country and news that affects our daily lives. Say, does that newspaper mention anything about the North American Union?
No, not that I can see.
I didn't think so. You need to go to www.newswithviews.com, where truth is more important than political correctness. That's www.newswithviews.com. Hey, don't throw that away. We can use that in the birdcage.
Okay, move over. Let me start reading newswithviews.com.
The truth? Read all about it at newswithviews.com. Newswithviews.com, where reality shatters illusion.
It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. We here at RBN are working with Front Sight Firearms Training Institute to bring our audience the best in combat, tactical, and defensive firearms training. Whether you're a private citizen who is new to firearms or you have a concealed weapon permit and want a level of training that surpasses what you've received from your local gun range, Front Sight provides priceless education and skills taught by seasoned law enforcement, military, and private citizen instructors to levels that far exceed law enforcement and military standard. With nearly 1 million responsible citizens trained from every town, city, and state from across the United States, Front Sight has bolstered the Patriot movement to a whole new level. Contact Dan Sutterfield by phone at 573-762-2356 or 573-465-2356 or shoot him an email at domedan, DOMEDAN at hotmail.com. This is a limited time opportunity. Don't miss it.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight.
Welcome back to our show here. The phone lines are open. Area code 512-248-8252. And getting on back to this story, when you are talking with the environmentalists or the global warming cult, or the worshipers at the Church of St. Al of the Gore, one of the things they're always putting out there is how wonderful solar panels are and renewable energy. And yet their solar panels are a really good thing.
This country is coming to.
Hello?
I sure would like
Hello?
to know.
Can you hear me?
If they don't do.
Okay. I guess we had a temporary break in the signal. Hello?
Yeah, we're good now. Yeah.
Okay, we're good now. All right. Live radio. What can I tell you? All righty. The phone lines are open now. Area code 512-248-8252. And we're talking of these people opposed to global warming and how they point to solar panels as a way of generating electricity that is clean and friendly to the planet. And for the most part, they are correct. But in another example of my complaint about not really thinking things through, you need to remember solar panels are very dark and they absorb sunlight, but only 15% of the light absorbed is converted to electricity. The rest is converted to heat and allowed back into the environment. So there was actually a plan at one point to basically turn the entire Sahara Desert into a giant solar factory, which would power the entire planet. But they're saying it would actually generate a lot of heat, which I'm sure the people in Texas could actually use right now. Turkey has its own space program, and they're going to spend $1 billion on it. And their first project is going to be a rocket launched from a site in Somalia. And it is hoped that it will culminate in a shuttlecraft being used to conduct scientific research. Turkish President Erdogan released a timetable for the country's recently announced space program last week. They're planning a hard landing on the moon for 2023 using a locally produced hybrid rocket. And by 2028, they hope to make a soft landing on the moon. I remember the early hard landings on the moon, the Rangers, and they actually missed the moon with the first few of them, some of which seem to still be out there. In fact, there was something that crashed back to Earth a while back that they think was one of the Rangers coming back in here. All right, we have callers on the line. Let's start with Peter in Los Angeles. Hello, Peter. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hi, Mike. I just wanted to mention a couple of things. And the first thing is, you know, I'm not somebody who's ever criticized other callers, right?
That's true.
You've never heard me do that. Sometimes I'm annoyed when they get so much time, but other than that, I think they all have pretty much something to say. And I want to just say that after a year of being locked down and having nothing to do and being, you know, confined indoors to a large extent, everybody's going a little bit crazy. You know?
Yes.
I know I find myself doing that. Yeah, me too. And listen, to be confined, you know, imagine you have a battle with Claire.
Are you in the wind or something? Are you in the wind? Because, you know, there's this rushing, roaring sound by your phone.
Oh, well, I'm at a radio-controlled aircraft place where there's jets going by.
Okay. All righty.
Yeah, they're kind of cool, actually. Some of these things are fabulous. But at any rate, yeah, 20 grand for some of them. But at any rate, I've had days, and you know, imagine having a battle with Claire, right? And you're in a confined space. There's nowhere to go, you know. And so I understand Layla wanting to get out of town, and everybody is a little on edge.
Yes, they are.
You have to factor that into almost everything right now, from politics to everything else. Everybody is just a little bit frayed. Everybody's a little on edge, but just wanted to say that. And but at any rate, I was getting it with this Garland Merrick, whatever his name is.
Yes.
The new, who, by the way, I've looked him up. He was Clinton wanted to appoint him to, I think, a judgeship. But this guy is he's a radical Zionist. He is Jewish.
Okay.
And by the way, he wants to crack down on white supremacy. He made a point of saying that. So not only does he not want to enforce the borders and won't declare that illegal, what's clearly illegal, he won't declare illegal. But what's clearly not illegal, which is just being white, that is illegal to him. That's where we're going, you know? It's interesting that I heard you mention it, that the Secretary General of the UN is now coming out and stumping for anti-whiteness, and and it's a global movement.
Yeah, it is.
It's never been done in the history. We're 60% of the population, and still control, other than the 18 or 20 billionaires that have as much as the rest of us put together. But we still are the next biggest bloc. That's why there's an anti-white movement, because we're the next biggest threat. And guess who's orchestrating it all, really? From open borders, open for us, but not for Israel, to the censoring everything that we do. And of course, you can't criticize them, including that professor from Bristol and all that.
Peter, I got to put you on hold. I got to put you on hold. Don't hang up. I'm going to come right back to you after these few words.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Is your property a financial burden and causing you grief? Have you tried to sell but can't find buyers? Or are you just too busy to sell your property? Don't worry, we have the right solution for you. We buy properties as is, with cash, close in 30 days, and pay all closing costs. Our service is ideal for property owners who are in pre-foreclosure, have high-end repair costs, experiencing financial hardship, going through costly divorces, are relocating, need cash for retirement, suffering family loss, or have tax liens. Whatever your situation may be, we can help you sell your property and get the money you need. If you own a single-family home or multiple family units, call us for a free consultation at 888-910-1037. That's 888-910-1037. Or visit our website at cashingproperty.com. That's cashingproperty.com. Sell your property fast and leave all your worries behind.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Born in the city with a silver spoon, great-grandson of the oil tycoon, raised by wolves, thinks he owns the moon, socialist banker to the one-world goons, Davy Rockefeller, chairman of the CFR.
Welcome back to our show here, and we're talking with Peter in Los Angeles, and we know that a lot of people are pushing to blend all of humanity into a single, copper-colored race to destroy our individual sense of identity, to destroy the nuclear family, leading to this globalist new world order dystopian society. We know a lot of people are behind it: Bill Gates, George Soros, and so forth.
Well, I'll point to the Israel firsters and
Yes.
like international jihadists. Frankly, it's a lot more specific than Bill Gates and Bill. So those are two practitioners, but Bill Gates has nothing to do with, at least very little to do with the Great Replacement. He has very little to do with cancel culture, although he has something to do with all of it. He's so rich.
Yeah.
But they do. They have everything to do with the whole identity politics. They're totally behind that. And by the way, you mentioned that movement in France of young people who just want to be raised in a France that where there's French people, or Germany where there's Germans, or England where there's English, or Italy where they're Italians. That's all that has been the germination and the origination of all that stuff. That's doing the replacement are the basically the international Zionists, and
Yes.
yet they won't do it where you're allowed to want you're going to be arrested in France for wanting France for French people, at least to maintain its French identity, and you get arrested for that in France. In Israel, you get arrested if you don't believe that. And they let that go. And that's just what I'm saying. The rules apply to us, but not to them.
Yes.
All the rules that we have to live by, they don't. And they're pulling all the strings. And the only way that 1.7% of the population can control North America and Western Europe anyways, and completely replace all their people, is if they have everybody at everybody else's throats. As Tom alluded to, blacks against whites, Hispanics against, La Raza against everybody, male against female, gays against straights, on and on, tall against short, whatever it might be, is the old divide and conquer, and they're behind it all. And anything and any policy in the United States that brings us together rather than separates us and fragments us, they oppose. I'm just asking people to keep their eye open for that and to identify just who the goddamn enemy is here. And that's who it is. They don't, and look how it's depicted on television. I mean, history is turned on its ear. We've talked about that with a couple specific cases. Everything is turned around. They don't report the right crime numbers. That's how they weaponize the black community. There's 11 shootings by cops by black people of black people, and they make it seem like it's. I think I sent you something. Depending on their political persuasion, going from ultra liberal to ultra conservative, the more liberal you are, they'll say how many black people have been killed by the police in 2019. Some of them said like thousands. It was 11. And of course, the more conservative you go, the more likely they are to know the real numbers. But nevertheless, the reason why they think that there's thousands is because they've been lied to. So whatever, and that's why one of the reasons we have problems. And by the way, that's one of the reasons why black people are lashing out at white people crime-wise, choosing them as victims, because they think they're being victimized, at least to an extent. But at any rate, the people behind this are the people that control everything that we see, that we read, that we hear on the radio, see on TV, at the movies, that set all the cultural parameters, and also can print money out of nothing and never be audited. Now, you tell me, if you control all modes of information and can print money out of nothing, what can't you accomplish? What can't you control given time? So, and one of the reasons why I think that that there's this anti-China thing, is they're behind that too, because they don't have a fifth column in China, Mike. And if the yuan takes over the dollar as a reserve currency, which it's going to do, and Chinese banking takes over, Western European and American banking, which it will do, they won't have a fifth column to help control those societies. There are no Jews in China. They won't have any influence. They won't be able to pull levers all over the world and control things. And so that's another reason why we have an anti-China policy. So there's some good reasons for being against China, but there's also some bad ones. But those are theirs, I believe. They can't possibly control them, but they can. But at any rate, that's it for me, Mike. I've taken too long. I always complain about other people filibustering, so.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the phone call. We're going to switch over to Joe in Nome. Hello, Joe. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Well, you know me. I'm not part of the regular echo chamber.
Yes.
But I heard a report this morning that there's been a massive oil spill that's oiled the total of the Israel waterfront.
Yeah, it's a bad one.
And it was saying that they're trying to figure out who operates the tanker that it supposedly came from.
Well, we haven't gotten that information yet. We don't even know the name of the tanker that it came from. And I'm rather surprised that has not been put out yet.
The point I'm making is the report that I heard said that Israel had instituted a media blackout on the subject. And and deployed the military. They're all out there sopping it up right now. But yeah, maybe it didn't come from a tanker at all. There is drilling going on out there, and maybe Dick Cheney's Halliburton might have been fudging the mud logs again, like they did down at Deepwater Horizon or whatever that Tony Haywood.
Could be a well blowout. Could be a well blowout happened.
Yeah. So, but yeah, keep your eye on that story. I didn't hear you had reported on it yet. But
no,
there you go.
We did mention it earlier in the show.
Oh, wow. I must have been out chasing my dog. Okay.
Okay.
We'll talk to you later.
All right. I have no problem with you out playing with your dog. I wish I had a dog myself. We're going to switch over now to Andrea in Oklahoma. Andrea, thank you for waiting patiently. What's on your mind?
Yes. Aloha. I guess you're going to something really important. Because you look really nicely dressed, no T-shirt, a nice shirt. You're all out, I guess so. And that's news to me, and I wanted to make a comment, and I'll let you go. Thank you so much.
All right, well, thank you very much. Aloha. Yes, I'm going to an event. Excuse me. I'm going to an event immediately following the radio show, and so I had to get a little gussied up on this one. All right, let's go to Pat in Fort Worth. Hello, Pat. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
I'll just tell you something that may rub some fur backwards on a bunch of people, but I've been knowing about this prophet who was sent to this country to tell us that we were going to burn, and his name is Dimitri Duduman. And I've been knowing about him 30, 40 years. And there's a show here that shows it. You can go on the internet. But anyway, he said that people are going to start fighting on the street and fighting the government. And when they do, that's when our enemies are going to come in and take us. I just thought I'd throw that in.
It's entirely possible. It's, I mean, there's so much anger out there between the COVID lockdowns and the face masks, the stolen election, the very obviously insane direction the Biden administration is trying to take the country with regard to immigration, restarting all of these foreign wars. We don't have the capability of waging war on the rest of the planet. We're going to lose that one.
Yeah, I think Biden's working for them, not us. I mean, that's part of the problem.
He's definitely not working for us. I mean, that's absolutely certain that Biden is not working for us.
He's working for our enemies, so he's part of our problem. But we don't have to succumb. When what they expected to happen over there in D.C. on the 6th was they expected that all the people out there would start fighting, and it didn't happen. And they're just standing. They had to still come up with something. They already planned the impeachment and all that crap. So that's just all I want to say. Thank you.
All right. Well,
Okay.
thank you very much. Here, the phone lines are open. Area code 512-248-8252. And we're going to go to Miles in Maine. Hello, Miles. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, aloha, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thank you.
Beautiful. Yeah, I just wanted to comment on a call. It was a few days back when I got the first call Layla made when I got around Margaret. She made some excellent points, and I really enjoyed the call when she got around to the religious aspect of some things. I thought it was enlightening.
Mm-hmm.
And also on that call, I mean, I don't mean to, kind of violate your little program there by saying anything about anybody, but someone in North Carolina had mentioned Klaus Schwab came up, and they were incorrect. He is not Dutch; he's Jewish.
Okay.
So, and maybe that's possibly the kind of stuff Layla was alluding to in her call. And also, Layla is getting some bad information about Dave from Boston. Dave from Boston he was not banned because of he didn't support Trump or didn't like Trump. He was banned because Dave was screwing around with another one of the hosts, and he was feigning like he was a Trump supporter. And this one host kind of gets a little riled up from time to time anyway. He's like a cross between like Tom and I don't know what, but he could go and go and go, and you'll never get a word in.
Yes.
And, so that's why Dave was banned. It wasn't because of any of this other stuff. Don't blame John Stadtmiller for anything like that. John Stadtmiller wasn't, and I've never known John to pick a side for somebody and say, don't talk about this or dissuade him from that or anything like that. He's always been very fair-handed, if you ask me. But that's what it was about. He was sabotaging another show, and he was feigning like he was a Trump supporter when he really, really, opposes everything Trump's done. And that's what ended up getting him banned, the screwing around with the other hosts. So I just thought I'd set the record straight on that and maybe give some clarity to it. But thanks, Michael. Keep up a great show.
All right. Well, thanks an awful lot. And we're going to go to Murr in Wisconsin. Hello, Murr. Welcome to the show. What is on your mind?
Hi, Michael. Yeah, you look very nice in your shirt.
Thank you.
I was going to ask if your RBN T-shirt was in the wash, but then I heard Andrea clarified what was going on.
No, I had to gussy up for an event right after the radio show. So
very cool. Very cool. Well, I just wanted to add to what Peter said when he said there's no Jews in China. I think you need to do a little more research on that. I was surprised. And it's why Henry Ford called him the international Jew, the world's foremost problem. But, through different diasporas and different expulsions, they've been expelled 1,030 times.
Yes.
Okay. So there's a lot of mixing over there. And there were Iraqi Jews, Qadari, that went there, to India and then Hong Kong. And of course, Sassoon, everyone knows about. And we've got the Sacklers and all the rest. But more recently, in 2008, Rabbi Dov Zakheim was the comptroller for the DOD.
Yes.
When the millions went missing, and he went over to China. Okay. They've been preparing this bed of vipers for a while, and it's not all of China. It's not all of Jews. It's not all of any one sect. It's the intention, the personal intention that's very selfish is what it amounts to. And in fact, people that have been Satanists say that that's what it really is selfishness.
Okay.
Okay. So it makes a lot of sense that way. But I just wanted to add that in there. And also sometime I was going to call on John Moore's show if I ever got around to getting to do it, because I heard him call Layla Leela. And I know she had said on John Statmiller's that she's not Layla or Lila, the name isn't. So I would really like to hear a clarification, because I'd like to pronounce it perfectly.
Well,
so,
the next time she
like
calls on in, next time she calls in, I'll ask her.
I wondered if there wasn't a second vowel, like maybe the Y wasn't silent or something. Might be a pronunciation. I'm not sure. But yeah, it would be nice to know, because I would like to hear the right pronunciation, because you're very good at that, like with parlor, parlay, right?
Well, I was wrong on that one. Apparently it's supposed to be pronounced parlor, even though it is spelled like the French parlay. So.
Right. It's the Americanized parlay, right? So
yes,
that's the official thing. But technically, we can get it right if we wanna, So yeah. And are you eating any comfrey? I just had a piece. I dry some for winter. No, you're not. I bet.
No, I don't think so. No. Okay.
We talked about this before. It was very good, though. Very good.
Okay.
Builds you up all round, your white corpuscles and your red blood cells, because it has B12 in it. And, some plants have some of that, but not as much, I guess, as comfrey does, which is unusual for a plant.
Okay, well, I'll have to mention that to Claire. She's the resident house apothecary and naturist and so forth and so on. But I've heard the phrase before, but
yeah, I've told you about it.
Okay.
Yeah, somebody had called in and was talking about gardening, and I said, well, everybody can have a pot of comfrey, right? It goes from the root, and it will spread, so you want to, if you're in an area where you can't let it spread, so you can grow it in pots, and it gets a beautiful purple sort of trumpet flower. So.
All right. Well, listen, Mer, I gotta let you go. We got to take a commercial break, and we got more calls in our final segment.
Hey gang, Patrick Slattery here with an important message that is pertinent to anyone who shops for groceries, eats food, or just has an inquisitive mind like myself. What I'm about to introduce you to is a segment of our food culture that has been kept so low profile to the American public that virtually no one is aware of how dominant it is on our refrigerator and cupboard shelves. What I'm talking about is the kosher certification industry and a new app, Koshertified, that delivers a comprehensive education on all aspects regarding this little-known practice. After reviewing this app, I found that it is useful for practically anyone who purchases food, regardless of their religious faith or identity. Its database of products not kosher certified is a win-win convenience for all food-conscious people. So why not check out the kosherquestion.com or click on the link at nationalbugle.com and see how modifying your grocery shopping with the Koshertified app can make a huge difference for your future.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Amazon customer. It's amazing. I just ordered my second bottle. In 1 month, my blood pressure dropped significantly. I no longer get chest pain after I exercise. The reviews are spot on. My target is to get off of BP meds, and if it keeps going like this, I see a light at the end of the tunnel. Amazon customer. Extendivite works great. This product has made my blood pressure and cholesterol stable. I highly recommend it. Amazon customer. Excellent herbal formula. I've been using it to keep my cardiovascular system fine-tuned. Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com. That's HEARTDROP.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite. What would you say if I told you we have a new tool that will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company? And it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks.
When pigs fly!
The new Ease Off Model EZ4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The Ease Off lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
Sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the Ease Off? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my Ease Off?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry because we are offering $200 off on the new Easy 4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows too. Ease Off LLC, Summersville, Missouri, 417-932-6419.
Some are maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, just try it yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far $5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
Welcome back to our show here, last segment of our program today, and we're going to go to Lauren in Ohio. Hello, Lauren. What's on your mind today?
Hey, I'm just sitting here and I see all the people having fits and, pointing fingers and people just complaining. I mean, frankly, I've heard enough about the problem. If you don't want to call with something you can do about it, to just keep repeating the problem. The Chinese are laughing. The globalists are laughing. Look at them just spinning. It's because you're not taking personal responsibility. It's not a difficult thing to control your own life. Stop obeying illegitimate authority. All this, well, when is it going to stop? It's going to stop when you stop obeying them. I have never put a mask on this whole time. Never once. I do it's the same thing I do all the time. All you have to do is just get up and go. You do have to educate yourself. You're going to have to put some time in. When people bother me about the masks, I tell them, hey, they're bad for you. Check out Judy Mikovits's book, The Case Against Masks. I point them to the CDC or, places that they can go to educate themselves. But I don't bow. I don't try to make them feel comfortable. But we need a population that does that. We're broke back in this country. We bend over for anything. They're stealing your money and you're still paying them taxes? What a friggin' joke. My goodness gracious. Stop giving them money you don't owe. Kelby Smith, hisadvocates.org. Just change your status. That's all. It's all Social Security and IRS. You just give them notice as to who and what you are. You're a child of the living God. God is your boss. You no longer have a contract with them to obey them. And they leave you alone. You keep all your money. You still get everything you paid into, all your Social Security.
I doubt that last one.
This is the way the law works, though. And this is, again, my point. The difference between nescience, N-E-science, meaning never heard, not knowing the truth because it's been hidden from you, and ignorance. I'm ignoring the truth once I know it. Well, now I just told you that there are 2 statuses. You can look at a passport application and it says U.S. citizens or non-citizen nationals. That means people born in this country who have a right to be here but don't want to contract with the U.S. government corporation to obey them. They're going to obey the God that created them. And that's fair. There's no problem. That's what I'm saying. I've been living this life. And people tell me all the time it's not real. Fine. Have it your way. Keep doing what they say. Keep giving them your money. Right now you're paying to bring in millions of brown skins from foreign countries with no skill sets that hate you, that hate your faith, if you have faith. And frankly, I don't think the people do have faith. God tells you how to live your life. We're not living it that way. The fruit always tells what the works have been. Our works are bad. We need to change what we're doing. So instead of pointing the finger and complaining about what somebody else says or separating ourselves, that's how they need us. That's how they clean us up. That's how we got rid of the Indians. Smallpox in the blankets, the food supply, they're doing the same thing to us.
We're almost out of time. I got to let you go and get to Bob in North Carolina. And Bob, make it fast.
Michael,
Bob, there you are.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, Tom calls every show. He gets up in queue on every show. It's always the same crap. And he's the babbling buffoon. It's blah, 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 stammer. And then he always says, getting back to. If he's got a point or a take, he should say it. And the other thing is, Michael, do you listen to RBN?
On occasion, yes. I mean, running my website and the radio show is a 12-hour-a-day job. Anyway, listen, I got to let you go, Bob. The music's playing. The show is over. Please stay tuned for John Stadmiller. I'm sure he's got lots of interesting things to share with you. Spread the word of Republic Broadcasting. Spread the word of whatreallyhappened.com. Please donate. Republic really needs it this month with the electric bill. We'll be back tomorrow. Aloha, America.